Well, here we are. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It is a pleasure to have Mike McClelland with us today here for our midday show for the Sharpe Showdown, day number 1. Mike, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
It's fantastic to have you. I know we're going to have a full hour of stories because you've got a ton of stuff to talk about, right? I mean, first of all, thank you for your service. I know you have 3 Purple Hearts. Is that right?
Yeah.
3 Purple Hearts. And I understand you still carry a little shrapnel, or is it a lot of shrapnel with you?
Oh, depends on how you weigh it.
Well, I guess if you were to ever have an MRI, you might know just how much you might have.
I know exactly because I have had an MRI.
Okay.
And you going on fire.
Oh, yeah, I bet you do. I'll bet you do. Boy, honestly, I don't know where to start. Kurt, I don't know where to start. Can we go way back to the beginning?
Yeah, like Mike. So give us your history, how you got into the walleye world and became, I mean, we got a book you guys can kind of see in front of us that Mike, one of 5, I believe you wrote. So give us like how'd you end up in the walleye world and where'd you come from?
Well, I grew up in a fishing family down in Iowa, but your resources are pretty limited down there.
True.
So I found my way up to Lake Oahe, South Dakota, and had a lot of time to fish, mainly because of a government pension from the service. I didn't have to have a full-time job. So
you were lucky you got to fish more than the average person.
Yeah.
Right.
And always interested in it, and always interested in new things, and try to train myself to think like a fish, but I never quite got that sharp.
Well, if anybody came close, it was probably you and Senior.
Yeah.
Like I will say that right now. If anybody came close, you were up there.
Yeah, we try to think we can think like a fish with all the forward-facing sonar and all of the new technology. Obviously, when you guys started, were you depending on you were just a little bit past the green box, right? Because the green box, Lowrance Fish Locator, that came in late 70s, early 80s?
No, that came in the late 60s.
It was the late 60s.
Yeah.
Okay. So then did you use the graph, the old
paper graphs? Well, the paper was expensive and they were just kind of a pain. So I depended mainly on a flasher.
Okay, yeah. So, and I think back on Lowrance basically had the first commercial flasher, right? Because the locator was a flasher, the green box, and it had the amber or the orange, and then they progressed all the way up to the digital thing, and now the Vexilar, I guess, is the most sought after flasher. I know Humminbird does it with their units and that different thing. Have you spent time with forward-facing sonar? I'll bring it up now and we'll drop it.
No, I'll tell you about it. We talked about the first flashers, and then we started putting the puck transducers on the trolling motors. Well, I was the only guy that I know of that figured out if I took a sheet metal screw and put it in the back of the transducer and faced it forward, I could sweep.
Sure.
So I was doing what they're doing now.
Right.
25 years ago.
Way back when.
And I gave a huge advantage.
And so I'm guessing that for the most part, for people trying to understand it, it would be like perspective mode then that we're seeing with the, because it's not like the Panoptics, obviously.
Yeah, it wouldn't give you what this gives you now, but it would tell you you're coming to a drop, not you passed it. It would tell you which side of the boat the fish is on.
Right? But it wouldn't necessarily show you the fish,
trolling,
right? Yeah.
It would just show you the mark.
The flash.
Yep. You just got the little grain of rice or however.
It was the big advantage to know which side of the boat.
Sure. Yeah.
And rather than running off of a drop, knowing a drop's coming up. And if you wanted to follow a drop, it was very easy just by swinging your trolling motor.
So did you have 2 of them on the boat then? One for down and then one for your forward? Just forward?
I shimmed my transducer.
Okay.
Rather than straight down like this.
Yep.
It was like this. So when I swung it.
Okay.
Oh, so you were seeing down and
Gotcha.
forward. So you were truly seeing the forward-facing sonar.
That has to be the first forward-facing, the first side scan, the first.
And,
everything in that era.
I did that for 7 years, and then Lowrance came out with, and they were a sponsor, come out with their new equipment, and I kept using the flasher, so they finally ended up, they had to take it off. Well, I put it on the floor.
So hiding these units on the floor is
there
still
you go.
There was a thing back then.
You had to do what you had to do.
I've been hearing that these guys in the bass world with all these remote screens now, they'll be sponsored by a company and they'll have a different brand in. They don't even put the graph out; they have it in the console because they have a remote screen. They have it in a in a bot or in one of their compartments,
Right?
And then they're just running it off the remote screen. So, I mean, they're getting a little more tricky because of the technology that we can do. But so you came. When did you get to South Dakota to start fishing, and how did you get into tournament fishing specifically?
Well, I came in here in 1980. My brother was here, and just come here like to fish, and he talked me into, I think, one of the early tournaments here on the river, the local one, and it was kind of fun, and we did well in it. And I don't know, I've never been a big sports competitor, but I liked competition fishing.
Okay, so you knew you were born to fish, though, right? I mean, did you have that
I
feeling?
grew up fishing.
Okay, so it was in your blood then.
Yeah.
And
Every family vacation we took was fishing. Every weekend was fishing. I drove my grandma and grandpa crazy to go fishing. They lived on the Missouri River down by Omaha. So I spent a lot of time out there, and not the type of fishing we think of today, but throw lines and hook nets and catfish and carp.
okay.
Hey,
yeah,
fishing's fishing. That's what I tell everybody, especially when they're kids. I don't care if they're catching bullheads, bass, walleye, northern, whatever it is. Let them catch it. Get them hooked on the sport.
Well, the thing with kids and fishing is the fish they catch is as big as you make it.
That's,
yeah, isn't that the
way
truth?
to-
Yeah,
yeah.
great way to put it? Yeah.
I took my niece out fishing one day. We were out a couple years ago on the boat, and I was pulling bottom bouncers, and she's like, "Uncle Kurt, this is boring." And I'm like, "All right." So I went back in the bay and threw some crawlers on jig heads and started catching catfish left and right. And she thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
She didn't care what it was, how big they were. She was so excited to do that. And it wasn't like, "Oh, this ain't a walleye, we're not doing it," right? Or "This ain't a bass, we're not doing it." It literally, she didn't care. The bobber went down, she caught a fish, she was super excited. So
It's still fun.
I love
it. It is. I think we now, so many years later, we just kind of know what to expect for the most part, right? We fished enough, or we know if we've got a bullhead on, we know if we got a walleye on. The kids don't. So kids are still, they've got that innocent, naive surprise of, that flopping fish on a hook, which it's amazing to watch kids and just to see their eyes and the way they act. But so you grow up fishing, so did you have tournament fishing? Did you have all these aspirations in your head before you met Bob? Because you guys became the dynamic duo for the most part, didn't you? I mean, that's the way everybody kind of labeled it.
Bob and I grew up 4 blocks apart.
Oh, see, now I didn't know that you had that type of.
We didn't know each other because we were separated by the Missouri River.
Okay.
He lived right across the river in Omaha, and I lived in Council Bluffs.
So now I get the connection, because I'm like, well, wait a minute. He was from Nebraska, you were from Iowa, but I didn't think about the river and Omaha and Council
4
Bluffs.
blocks apart, never knew each other. That's
crazy. So that's a meant to be thing.
But I met him at Lake McConaughey before I ever moved up to South Dakota. So he came up and he stayed with me for a couple of years, and as Bob did.
A couple years until you had to help him out the door and until he went to the next spot. So
that's funny.
Everybody takes different paths, and we see this in, guys go down the tournament road, guys nowadays go down the social media road, guys go down the things. And our good friend Tom Wind, he kind of like went down the road like you went down. You went down more of an educator road. I mean, you still were very competitive, but you, with your books and all your different stuff, you kind of took that education, and that's kind of how you sold your brand.
Well,
am I wrong?
That's exactly right. I figured out right away I'm never going to catch enough fish to make a living.
It takes a lot of fish to make a living, doesn't it?
So I did a lot in promoting products and earning sponsorships through promotion of products. And then speaking, I've done over, I don't know, maybe, who knows, 1,000, 1,500 fishing seminars.
Wow.
And from them seminars, at the end, I would always ask questions. Does anybody have a question? So after 20 years of that, I picked out the most 50 often asked questions. And that generated this book.
And that's walleye troubleshooting.
Walleye troubleshooting.
Right.
And how I did that was there was a lot of drive time in the winter between seminars and stuff. I would write the questions down. After I settled on the 50 questions, when I was driving, I would answer them on a tape.
No
And
kidding.
Then when I got home, my son would put them together.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So he put them all together, and that's
Yep.
how you ended up making the book. Then.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
That-
'Cause I bet because you weren't going to sit down and type your book, were you?
No.
No. I understand. Did you take typing class in school? Did you?
No, I couldn't spell well enough.
Well, you weren't like
He's like me. He's like
backwards
me
or
over here,
the
yeah.
dyslexic guy.
I stay away from that. That's why we have people that can do those things for us, right? You strive on your strong
I
suits.
fish, they type.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. So that makes a ton of sense. You know, there's so many questions. I do want to get into you and Bob and how you were really the business guy, right?
Oh,
And
absolutely.
you could catch fish. And,
Bob was a disaster.
No,
okay. Well,
come
glad you
on.
said that because
Let me give
that's
you
what I heard.
one example. We picked up a new sponsor, and we'd always been with Berkeley Line, Trilene, and we picked up a new sponsor, Strim. So we're going to meet him at the Sioux City, Iowa Sports Show. The first time we're going to meet this rep.
Sure.
And so I'm standing there, and they'd sent us all the clothing and stuff. So I've got my, trend jacket on it, waiting for Bob, standing in the aisle down there at the sports show. And I see Bob, here he comes. And he's got this absolutely wore out and filthy Trilene coat on. And I was so embarrassed, but I asked him, I says, Bob, you forgot your coat. He says, oh no, I just like this one better.
That's exactly Bob's story, 110% of. Yeah, I mean, I traveled with him. He traveled with us in the later years. I'd love to pick him up and hear the stories and all the different things that you guys went through the eras and learning and developing and all these different things. But there was definitely those times. Like one time we were filming the fishing crew stuff, and we had Bob his own shirt, my dad, and we all had our own shirts. And Senior comes up and is like, all right, guys, we're ready to go out. And I go, Senior, that's my shirt. Oh, no, this is mine. It literally has my name on it, Senior. Yours is over there. Yeah, he's like, I just like this one, same thing, just like this shirt. So I lived them a lot later in life, but you went through way more of them than I did. But, so you guys got together, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Senior used to tell me that you guys held the biggest weight ever weighed in up in Mobridge one time. Like 100 and some pounds.
I think it was 122.
122 pounds.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had 100 one time in the Governor's Cup here. We had 100 and didn't make the top 20.
Oh, so that would have been, was that in the 90s then? Or was it, well, okay, because
Late 90s,
the 90s were kind of the heyday, right? It predates me, but so you won the Gov Cup in 1986 and that was with
91.
Bob. And then in 92, we were looking at the website just to make sure, because we weren't quite sure it was 2 or 3. So 86 and then in 92 with your brother, right, Jim?
Son.
That's on. Yeah, okay. So
The author.
right, yeah, I should know that.
Publicist, I should say.
Yeah, right on. Right. Well, you know what? It's 12:15. We're going to bring in one of our anglers. Fellas, you're unmuted, and there they go. All right, Nick, Tom.
What's going on, guys? Howdy. Sorry our audio is so bad. It's a little rough out here.
You know what? It's not that bad. You've got everything tucked in and good to go. So, you sound fine. Go ahead and tell us what you got out there.
Well, the wind's still going, and we're staying dry, and the boat's working, and we got a few fish in the box.
At
So
least
we're going to call that a good day.
okay. Well, you've had time.
I speak very highly of the cold snap gear. I must say that was a pretty major adjustment that we made last night at the rules meeting. So wanna say my praises to that one. This Tom's got us a little wet today.
I'm glad you waited to the last minute to make the change.
How I mostly do things.
Okay, okay, I get you. All right, fellas, we're gonna go pop up Ryan Thompson here real quick. Ryan, how are things out there?
Windy.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and I'm guessing by the look of things, cold.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's for sure. There's no partner.
Did you guys travel? Did you travel south?
Nope. We're right here in town.
Okay, all right. Joshua, hello there.
Yes, that was
What's
Tom
up,
and
Tom
Nick.
Yeah, look at that. All right, let's go over here and let's check in with Lauren.
Looks like he's
All right.
jigging a little bit.
Lauren Skipper. How's it going out there?
I will here in a minute.
It's windy, like it is for everybody else, and we got a couple fish in the box, so kind of just started tagging up. We were throwing back some this morning, and but now we're getting into some fish again, so good.
Okay, good. They're biting. You got some in the box. And they did you guys get a little bit of the rain at all today? Because we've had a little bit here and there.
Yep, a little bit. For part of it, we were under the bridge, though.
I know there are quite a few anglers. I don't want to say taking the easy way out, but there's fish there, right? So why make the big run?
Yeah, it wasn't the rain that put us there. It was the fish.
Well, and I would guess that the strategy really has to be to put 5 in the box today, right? I mean that's necessary.
Yes, definitely. The bite that we had been fishing up to this event definitely was super tough and shut down. So yeah, now we're kind of just going for some fish just to get them in the box.
All right, Lauren. Hey, thank you very much. We're going to mute you because you're in a big wind, but we're going to keep you up and watch. So you go ahead and keep fishing. Thank you very much. So, fellas, you guys go ahead and fish. We'll just keep an eye on you while we're talking here, and then we may bop in and say hello. So go ahead and do what you got to do to keep fishing, and we'll keep an eye on you guys. Thank you very much. So, Mike, what do you think of this kind of technology that we get to do right here in Pierre? We don't even have to have a big TV station to get it done.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's kind of fun, isn't it?
So,
Yeah.
Mike, you've spent, I don't know how many tournaments you've done on Lake Sharpe. You've done spring ones. You've probably done them all through the year. What do you think these guys are expecting out there? Like, what are, the conditions? We watched the NWT last couple of days, and you had, a 21-pound bag weighed day one. And I told everybody, I said, my guess is 24 pounds on this, 12-pound average a day. If you bring 12 pounds in, you're going to win this. And I preface that with, when I say that, they're going to weigh like 18 pounds day one and 6 day two. And I was close. It was 21 and then 4. But is this, people think the fishery's bad right now. I've heard some rumors that all the fish are hungry. What's from all your years of experience that you live right in the lake, what do you think the lake's like?
Well, it's very healthy with small fish, but we're having a real problem here figuring out a balance between slot limits and bag limits and stuff. We get a tremendous amount of fishing pressure.
Nope, we got a fish. Let's pop these.
Oh, yeah, let's do that.
You got the controls over there to bring them in.
All right. All right, you guys, Ryan, what do you got there?
Looks like it's 15-inch, but we already got our limit, so I think we're going to probably say, we'll see what we got here.
Okay.
Need to be about a half pound upgrade to help us.
I see they got the Bubba scale. That Bubba scale is amazing.
Yeah, he said it was within hundreds of ounces of ours. So
Yeah.
that new scale technology is pretty cool. So
You guys had a Delier in the boat back then, didn't you? You remember the Zebco Delier?
No, we're just at left hand.
Okay. All right. That's one way to look. That's one way to do it.
So
Yeah.
go back to you were saying we're having a struggle with the slot limit, the Creo limits. Let's finish that conversation.
Well, we are when you figure up the amount of pressure on the lake is tremendous. We can put 400 boats on the water.
And that's a lot of boats.
3 people do a boat. That's 12 fish a person. That's 3,600 fish a day. Times that just by 100 days, and it's over 250,000 fish out.
Like that, and nobody's putting them back in the next weekend, right? I mean, nobody's replenishing. You look at the National Walleye Tour was here. If I remember the numbers from day one, I think it was 424 fish, 600 some pounds. I think it was just about 1.5 pounds average. But you take a look at that. That's in one day, right? Yeah. You've taken 400, almost 450 fish out of the system, and that's fine because we're finding out from biologists that's the whole point.
But let's preface this with this: they put their fish back. I heard they had 3 mortality fish on day 1. I didn't get a number on day 2. We're doing the same thing. We're putting all these fish back in the system. Now, if they all make it, that's another story.
It's not the tournament fishermen, but we take a slot limit off in July 1st, July through August,
right?
September. And so then you can keep fish of any size. So you'll start keeping fish that are under that 15. But 5 out of 6 that I catch that are under already have hook mouths in them.
Oh, okay. All right. So you're paying attention to that.
That's helping some.
Yeah.
But the fish are healthy. There's a lot of food and there's a lot of fish.
Yeah, that's
all these anglers are going to catch 15, 20 fish a day.
Sure.
And maybe be able to keep 2. So the recruitment's there. They just need to grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if the slot limit is the reason for that or not. I used to think that every lake should have a slot, should be, 15 or bigger. And now as I start to listen to the biologists and really pay attention instead of being stubborn with my own opinion, I'm learning that maybe my thinking and my opinions were wrong and that they truly know what they're talking about when they say it's okay. I think it was Travis Hartman, one of the DNR biologists on Lake Erie in Ohio, said we just have no information to substantiate the fact that taking 8 to 12 pound females out of the system, harvesting them, has any effect on the lake at all. So, and we're starting to find that out. Mark Finsel basically said the same thing: catch them, take them home. The system's full of fish. So, I don't know how to solve the problem. Do you have? Because you have more experience in it than a lot of us. So,
but I agree with his picking on the big fish because, going with DNR and watching them netting and spawning and stuff, the big fish are very lazy and they're not good recruiters. It's your 2 to 5 pounders that do all the work. And so you're really not saving the resource by throwing one back.
Yeah, true. Yeah. And Kurt took us out. So we'll go back to that when we come back in, because what you said there is perfect.
I just saw a hook set there. So I had
you had to go to the hook set.
I had to go to the hook set. Looks like it's probably just let's see if we can got the bubble out right now. Decent.
Nice fish, yeah.
1.6.5, Justin. Tag it.
There's your National Walleye Tour average right there.
We're gonna take it.
They're tagging.
Fantastic.
I gotta figure out which screen and bring us all back in on now.
Fantastic. So Lauren Skipper there, 1.6. So I'm guessing has got to be a 16, maybe a 17-inch fish, but a nice healthy walleye. And they are tagging it and putting it in the box. So Mike, when they got the hook set and we went to catching the fish, we were talking about the slot limit and talking about fish, and you were talking about the 2 to 5 pound fish being important. Let's revisit that again.
Well, they really are. Those are the ones that produce the best and do the most work on the spawn, at the actual live spawn. Your older fish get very lazy. A lot of times those eggs will be dumped in open water.
Right, so they're gone. If they're not laid in gravel in the shallows.
By not keeping one of those, you're really not. I mean, you'd probably be better off to throw the 2-pounder back than to throw the 10.
You know, okay. And I think maybe more people need to hear that. Look at there. There we got another one. All right, the fish are starting to bite. It's 12:26. So let's keep an eye on that and see if Ryan and his partner pick one up. So now we've got Skippers with one, and then we've got Team 39.
Ryan and Matt got one. They were the first one.
They got
Then
the
we had
first one.
Skippers, and now we got.
So now we have. Oh, so I didn't. That's right. All right. So now we got the trifecta there. We've got each of them without. Coming in over here. Can you see me?
Trying to figure out this camera.
There we go. Oh, nice fish. Let's say, did you get a weight on it?
I didn't weigh it 16 and a quarter though, but we haven't weighed this one. It's a little skinnier than the ones we've been catching. It's a little different color, so it came from a different area. You can tell it's kind of moving, but that's what we're seeing a lot of. It's going to go in just to make sure we have our 5. This will be our 5th one.
Perfect.
Now we can work with them a bit.
All right. Yep. Now you get something to work with. Here we've got another one in the bag, or in the net rather, and we'll unmute Ryan and see if we can't get the details there.
This is Lauren.
This is Lauren. Okay. Lauren's gonna get mad at me there because as far as size is concerned, they're both different sizes. But when everybody's bent over in bibs,
It looks like
they all look the same.
it looks
right?
like it went right back. So we'll go back to. I don't know what we're going to add these to the stage. We're working through this great technology we have here. So
Yeah, I'm glad Kurt's running the deal there because
there we go.
yeah, and maybe what we'll do tomorrow is we'll have everybody tip their phone on the side because then we get a bigger picture of everybody. But we've got our chance in the boat here. We're weighing it. What are we going to get?
What, want to take it, Justin? What time is 12:30? I think that's 4. So it'd be just short of 6, and we'd have 3 tags left.
The dilemma.
Yeah,
We're at the dilemma point right now.
but now this is perfect for people to see. This is where tournament fishing gets tough. Do you keep them? Do you put them back? What do you do with them? And Trapper, thanks for the information there. Lauren, how long was it?
We got a 1.5 here. We're gonna take it just to get some fish in the box.
That's a good decision, especially for today. Those that can come in with 5 fish are certainly not going to lose today. You got a chance for tomorrow.
Yep, we're just gonna try to keep ourselves in it, but we still got plenty of time. So
for those wondering, these guys have they're out there. They're going to weigh their best 5, but they can catch up to 7. With 2 of those being overs. So they weigh 5, catch 7, so they have 2 to play with for anybody wondering. So when he was doing the tag dilemma, see, Ryan must have heard us to turn his phone on the side to doing the tag dilemma of what do we do with these. That's kind of the conversation of why we're looking at what do we do when we got 4 fish in the boat with 3 tags to play with. So just kind of that whole scenario going with them. So, but yeah, back to so we talked to Finsel on with the fisheries and the slot limit on these fish, and they maybe you've seen this, maybe you haven't. It seems like they're telling us that these guys that have these lakes that have slot limits actually hurt the fish population more than lakes that don't have a slot limit, because a lot of people got that magic goal to hit a 1/20 where they'd be fine keeping 18s, 19s, or whatever they get on a non-slot limit lake. And then also the 15-inch minimum slot, the females are getting there a lot faster than the males are. So when you're keeping those 15-inch ones, most likely they're a female. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, that's true. There's no doubt about that. I can't argue, but I have a problem with these early tournaments too, particularly on this reservoir where your spawn starts from south to north. These females will show up here ahead of the males. They'll be in a little deeper water. And a week ago, we were catching 9 out of 10 females,
Okay. Yeah.
And so, and those are the ones that happen to get over the slot limit first.
Sure. So
So-
they're harvested right away.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's not, I mean, the Pierre area in particular in Chamberlain, these guys are on the water year round. And so it isn't like we have a closed season like they have in Minnesota or this and that. So yeah, that early harvest can
be hard on a fishery. You can understand why Minnesota closes.
but I can't argue and say it's hard on this fishery because this fishery is in great shape for small fish and for food. I mean, the fish are fat, they're healthy.
Yeah.
And just not very many get to grow up.
And it really, what we're up against here, we're just up against Mother Nature being bipolar and just being hard to deal with. Whether we've got high pressure, low pressure, we've got cloud, wind, and rain, and all these things that come into play. We had a rain on Thursday, and that cooled the water down again. So it's not like we just have stable weather. Imagine, and maybe you'd have to agree, if we would have had an entire week of beautiful, stable weather, pressure at 29.9 to
Like
30.0.
Matt and Ryan got one. Skipper's got one there a
Look
minute
at
ago.
All right.
Skipper's through theirs back. Matt and Ryan are measuring right now.
The bite's on, and
And it's
right
kind
here
of
at lunchtime.
it's kind of crazy. We're looking at this. We got guys trolling and we got guys pitching, and they're both getting them. And that's just kind of the different. Oh, looks like theirs went back. But that's just kind of going to be your all in all different scenarios of what's going on here. Trying to figure out a good layout here.
Well, there's a lot of fish in the system, so about the way you like to fish is going to be the best way to fish.
Yeah, really, that's what it comes down to is comfort and confidence.
Yeah.
If you're confident pulling bouncers, then fish with bouncers. If you want to pull cranks, I think right now it's a little early for cranks. Although we're pulling my walleye off of cranks, that's fine. I mean,
Looks
they're
like the
gonna react.
Skippers might. I don't know if he's got a good one or what's going on there. We get a different camera view. We're on Justin Skipper now.
Just changing the camera. He's got some
Yeah.
fish now.
We lost Tom and Nick. I think from what I was looking at, they were on a run, so they were getting ready to
They were
move.
changing,
So
and I think they're popping back here too. And skippers. I'm not teasing skippers at all because they've got the best Rice Krispie bars in the world, and they share. So I'm not going to tease them at all. No, the other knuckleheads out there, I'll tease them all day long. That's fine. Matter of fact, I put a banana in both their boats. So Ryan's got a banana in his boat, and Nick and Tom have the banana in their boat. And we'll see. They're catching fish at least.
Yeah, they are, but they're not having fun.
So you got into we kind of talked about the fishery. It's in a healthy place, just a lot of little fish. And we're just looking like this fishery just needs time. I mean, less pressure. Like, what are we seeing in your opinion? What are we seeing we need to do here to?
I'm not.
In my experience, Sharpe has never been a big fish factory. It's been a fish factory. It just doesn't get the big ones. I mean, they're here.
20 years ago, when there was 8 fish limits, you could average 4 pounds every day, any day.
Wow.
Was that?
And never leave the city.
Yeah, right. Just right here.
Was that do you think that was because, we had spot tail shiners, different nutrient, different forage in the system for them?
No, it's like a little kid. You can feed him anything. He's only going to grow so fast.
Yeah.
True.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So when did the spot tail shiners leave?
When
We still have spot tails.
There are still some here.
And
Wait.
gizzard shad.
Yeah.
Gizzard shad above, not so many gizzard shad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know you guys down here, you got a lot of our fish from up there. At least that's what they say. When they opened the gates, all our smelt went,
In 2011, we
Well,
dumped
our smelt starting to recover again up above.
and that's paramount, right? For that fishery, for Oahe.
Well, it is. I don't know. The biologists do a good job, but sometimes I think they can make mistakes and fish that don't get the results they want when they introduce new species.
True. Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think about the Bill Wackerly and the Walleye Coalition and the work they're doing up there in Akaska? That you got to take your hats off to those guys because they're working hard to put more walleye in the system.
I really am not familiar with that.
Okay.
What they're doing here.
Yeah, they do a wonderful job up there, and
So they basically give you a brief overview. They started the Walleye Coalition to help fund and get some emphasis on restocking Lake Oahe after the flood. And they've been, 3, 4, 5 years now been stocking. They stocked the lower end one year, they stocked the upper end, lower end, upper end. Every other year they rotate. And then they put the gizzard shad. They put 2,500 adult gizzard shad in Lake Oahe, which helps us get this, because they're not going to hardly make it through the winter because they're warm water fish, but there's all different sizes of them, so all the fish have something to eat.
Yeah, well, we had a pretty good population of gizzard shad, and one winter can set you back 3 years on them.
Yeah, we're learning that. We're finding that out. Yeah. I think because we're having conversations with biologists more than we used to. Because honestly, I think for the most part, some of us, we just didn't want to become friends with them, because they always did the wrong thing. And what do we know, right? Yeah. So the more you talk to them, the more that you have conversations with them, the more you find out that
we're struggling up above on Lake Oahe with a push and pull on, do we promote and support the salmon or do we do the walleyes?
Yeah.
And this is never going to be the salmon fishery they were hoping for.
Right. Every so often, when those fish grow up, we get the big salmon, and there is that.
So they can't reproduce. So every salmon caught is stocked.
Right.
Yeah. So we're not getting any reproduction out of it.
And then when we introduce forage bases to them that aren't native.
Yeah.
Well, and the last ones they put in is now I can't think of
the Atlantics.
No, the forage base.
Oh.
Yeah, I
don't know. Not Cisco's. They were something either. But anyway, it's a great forage base, but it's a fall spawner. And
the lake herring?
Lake herring.
Yeah.
They're a fall spawner. And they're carnivorous. They have teeth. They eat. Well, they're just big enough come spring when the walleye spawn to eat every egg and every.
So they're detrimental to
we
to
need
the
to
walleye
know
population.
What did that really do to their natural reproduction.
True.
We can still strip them and spawn them. But,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, what's the natural reproduction?
But I've noticed a big difference on the, not so much the numbers of fish, but the size of the fish up on Oahe.
Well, and I think you mentioned it too, salmon or walleye. The Missouri River, at least, well, from Fort Peck all the way down to Lewis and Clark, for certain, it's all walleye. The tourism and the money generated. I mean, it's we gotta concentrate on the walleye. It'd be nice if we could get some jumbo perch. It'd be nice if we could get some big crappie. But we're finding out
we're a walleye state.
It's a walleye fishery. That's what it is from Fort Peck down.
It is, but the crappie fishing is very good. Nobody fishes for them, though.
Yeah,
right.
They all fish for walleyes.
Yeah,
but right now they're catching a lot of crappie.
So going back to the tournament era, I mean, you started out here. You fished with your brother. You went through the whole transition of that and watching the sport grow. Where do you think it is now compared to where it was? Is it better? Is it worse? Is it need improvement? Like, what's your opinion on the whole tournament series or tournament world nowadays? I mean, we're now here on camera watching our guys fish.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Well, it's definitely progressed and grew and blossomed, particularly as far as knowledge and transfer of knowledge. But I don't know, as far as the tournaments go, I really miss the tournaments where you kept as many fish as you was allowed and you kept the biggest ones.
Yeah.
That's what wins a tournament.
Sure.
Not the guy that happened to catch it.
Right. Where anybody can win a tournament if they're fishing a one-day tournament.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Or if you're limited to a certain number of tags.
Yeah.
But and I've said that ever since the tagging started. that it really takes away from how I would fish a tournament.
It changes the aspect completely.
Yeah,
You know?
and no culling, which I agree with for the species, for preserving the fish. But for the tournament fishermen, it really took the fun out of it. I mean, there's nothing better than a tournament than digging through the live well to find the smallest.
So going through all the eras of tournaments, I mean, my dad used to tell me, like, there was back in the day, he always joked because my grandpa was at Doc's Lodge in Leech Lake, and he goes, they'd all pull up and they'd back their Suburbans up and they'd have a hot dog feed the night before. The next morning they get up and want to kill each other. And then the other guys who didn't win money had to beg the other guy to give them some money so they got gas money to get home. And he goes, it was just that era. And we kind of see that. Like, I love the Governor's Cup because so many people think that as a family reunion, the fishing family reunion, to come see all their buddies they don't see very often. And that's a lot of fun to see that. But, you got the team up. Did you guys really have the teams of, like, individual teams, 4 or 5 different anglers teaming up, being teams? And was that a big thing back then when you guys were doing it, or is that more the new era?
Well, that was one of the major changes that we tried to pass rules to prevent it. Was you weren't fishing against other anglers, you was fishing against, like, Team Yarcraft or Team Lund.
Sure, yeah, right.
You know, and the communications on the water, they couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
I mean, if I take my hat off when you go by, it means we got fish. I mean, you couldn't stop it no matter what you did. And so it became a team event rather than an individual event.
Interesting.
And that changed it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So I want to get into something. I'm going to grab a prop because I want to talk about this because I just learned this year, and I got to thank you for this. So
yeah, the other thing that I want to talk about too, and we could do it now while Kurt's grabbing the prop. We talked about the electronics. Let's talk about the change in fishing line and even the fishing pole. The fishing pole is, when you fished as a kid, did you not have the old steel? You had a steel pole with a cork handle, right?
Yeah.
I think as a kid I did too. But now we're into carbon fibers and all these different things. So do you feel like there's this huge change? And is it necessary, or are you still using the poles you used?
The only change is the people that manufacture this stuff are making a lot of money. They're not catching any more fish.
Okay, that's interesting. So same then with, really, when it comes down to it with line, mono's mono. I don't know that it's really changed.
The angler's going to adapt to his tools, and whatever he's comfortable with, he's going to fish it best.
Yeah, there you go. It comes down to confidence. Yeah.
Your question spurred me.
Oh, there you go.
How about that one?
That's
the old Green Hornet. But no, what I wanted to get into is the NPAA. I found out one of the founding people of the NPAA. I got to get this in the screen, but tell us about what the idea behind this was. It started here in Pierre, South Dakota. I didn't know that until I had a chance to talk to Eric Nagy, the new president. Tell us about this and what the inspiration for the NPAA was.
Well, the inspiration for it was to organize the anglers, the serious anglers, and look at things like, what can we do to help fisheries biologists? What can we do to rules that would help the fishing tournament circuits?
Right.
And what can we do as a group to help select fishing locations?
Yeah, there you go. Right. Okay. Now we get down to the real reason. Yeah.
And the fact that so many of these people that joined it were speakers. We had a powerful tool for representing sponsors and their products, which in the beginning of this, every year, my garages were full of stuff that we would send to the members.
Okay.
And that kind of went away, but aside when I changed hands with it.
Right. So now the NPAA over, I don't know, maybe the last decade or so, really kind of made a shift to bass and went south. But it feels like with Eric coming in as president and having the annual meetings, the conferences up north, that things are coming back up north, and it feels like it's starting to trend more walleye too. So that's pretty exciting.
Well, you know, and you know, it was identifying with your decals, your boat numbers on your boats and stuff. It identified you as a professional angler, which is good and bad.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yep.
The bad part was the people know you are, everybody on the water.
Yeah.
But the other anglers know who you are.
Yeah, that's or you have 1729 on your pickup in your boat, and somebody thinks you're a professional angler, and you're just a professional media angler.
But no, it was a good idea. But the trouble is we didn't have enough business people. We were all fishermen.
Okay, now that would make a whole lot of sense. So yeah, right. You have to have an organization like that. You've got to have well-rounded, business-minded people.
Yep.
So I mean, but the organization, like I said, you got his. I found that in the trailer. I figured since he won the '86 Governor's Cup, we better bring that hat in. So I found that in the other trailer. So I was like, we got to bring that in for Mike, and a little tribute to him for winning the '86 Governor's Cup.
Kind of fun.
Yeah.
You know, you did what you guys started. I mean, did you ever expect it to last this many years and evolve into all the different things it's doing now? I mean, it does legislative stuff. I mean, they were crucial in getting the tournaments back in North Dakota. Like, tournaments basically got shut down in North Dakota, and the MPAA got involved to get them back open up there. So, I mean, that was a huge thing. I didn't know it was kind of started to help design to pick where these events go.
Yeah,
like, we've talked about that, of like making a circuit that the anglers have input into where we're going, not just sell them on random lakes and bad timing. And
yeah, not just letting the pocketbook pick where you fish by what Chamber of Commerce is going to give the organization the most money to bring the tournament in. I've been to those, to where they've sold them a bill of goods to where we'll bring these pros in, and you can catch fish in the spring. We're going to show you how to catch them in the summer and extend your tourism season.
Yeah, that's business, right? I mean, that's what.
But you know what? It never worked.
Of course not.
There ain't no fish there. You can't catch them. You know, basically that happened on these bays off of the Great Lakes, where the fish would come into the river,
migrate in, and
they would catch them.
Yep.
And so they would say these pros are going to come in and show you how to catch them all year long. I'll give you one example that's kind of a good story. But Mike Thurl and Dennis Thurl are two brothers that fished the circuit for years and years. And we were at a lake, I won't mention it, but it was a tributary into one of the Great Lakes. And the first year, I fished it for 6 days and never had a bite. And the fish wasn't caught. And they went back.
Yeah.
And the next year, on the last day, I had 2 bites. I caught 2 fish.
Really?
I was second place only because Mike Thurl and his brother got so drunk the night before. They were just trolling across the middle of the bay, both sleeping. And Dennis, his brother, tells him, he says, he wakes up and says, Mikey, you're dragging some wood, because there's old slab piles down at the bottom. You're dragging some wood. And he reels it in and said, Dennis, it's a walleye. It is dead. They drowned him.
Oh.
They drugged him that long, and they won.
No kidding.
So some of the tournament stories are pretty sad. I mean, most of them are good because of the camaraderie.
Yeah,
you see all your friends, whether you're having good fishing or bad fishing. You know, everybody's in the same boat.
Right. I mean, we make lifelong friends in this business, right? I mean, we wouldn't be sitting here today if we didn't all have 3 common interests in the fishing world, tournament fishing world. So. I mean, I love it. I mean, I'm not the angler. I don't go out and do what you do. I've tried it a couple times. It's not for me. I love my catfish, our little trash fish tournament we put on the neighborhood for 4th of July. Love that one, but that's just fun. I'm out with some buddies and my wife, and it's just a great time. But getting out there and doing this, it's not because they're out there getting hammered with the weather, because we've been outside all day setting up, doing the same thing. Granted, we're dry on land, but
when tournaments were starting, they were amazingly interesting because everyone was in the process of discovery, of learning.
Yeah, right.
You know,
it was all new.
We've learned well, but now we've come up with new types of electronics to where a guy can walk out of the showroom with a boat, and if his mind works in that direction, he can be as good as anybody out there within a year.
Well, that's
Because he understands the electronics,
Right.
not the whole. I mean, he can tell you there's a fish. He can't tell you why that fish is there.
Sure. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
You know.
And
So-
we're seeing that with Tom Wind. I mean, Tom Wind bought a boat in 2020 and he won the championship last year. I mean, but he understands the electronics better than anybody else. He was he went to school to be a computer engineer, if I'm correct. But he just understands the electronics, and he started a whole university. He went down the road you did with teaching, got a whole online university called Fish THU, Tom Wind University, all on forward facing. He goes, if I can teach the true anglers, the guys that know how to catch these fish no matter what, how this technology works and how to understand it, it's going to be revolutionary. And he goes, I'm never going to win another one because I don't understand how the fish works. I understand how the technology works.
Right.
Well, my advice to anyone that feels that way is pick your tournaments.
Yeah.
If it's a big fish tournament, he's going to beat you every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
Mm-hmm.
But pick your tournaments, you know.
Yeah,
Pick one with a good average size fish and let the weather be the doctor.
Yeah, true.
It's going to tell you what's going to happen.
Kind of like Sharpe Showdown right now. I mean, really, this is not going to be a big fish tournament, but this is going to show the teams that know how to catch fish. And I can't imagine.
I don't know if it'll show that or not. Teams that know how to catch fish probably looked at this weather forecast and ain't here.
Yeah, right. I get you there. I do. So what's it like? Because I think for Kurt and I and a lot of people, Al is at the top, and you've got Ron, and you've got Mike, and you've got Bob, and you've got all these people that we looked up to as kids because you were the first guys on TV and out there and writing books and doing things. Who did you have when you were young to look up to in the fishing world? Your dad, I suppose, or was there somebody famous in the walleye fishing world at that time?
No, my dad, he loved to fish. He'd fish anything, though. Throw lines for catfish, crankbaits for bass. But he worked on the railroad nights, so he had days.
Sure.
So he did a lot of fishing, and every vacation we ever took was a fishing vacation growing up, And so we just come from that type of a background, and
So how does it feel? Because to me, it feels like because of you, because of Al and Ron and Bob, and frankly, Ray Scott,
Gary Roach.
Gary
the
Roach,
list goes endless, right?
You guys made this possible. We're doing this all because of you guys, and you're one of those guys. I mean, how does that feel? Whatever.
Old.
Old. Well, that's, I guess that is part of life, isn't it? Everybody's getting older. But I'll tell you, it has been a ton of fun to have you here. I see we're coming up on our 1 o'clock, and not that we have to shut things off at 1 o'clock, but we had a short bite window, and they're trying pretty hard to get things done here. And it would be nice to go back to them and chat a little bit, but they have a tournament to win. It's nice to know they put some in the box while we're on TV, though. I like to call it TV. I don't want to call it video. I wanted to be Captain Kangaroo when I was a kid, so he was on TV, not YouTube.
It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun, and I want to touch base on your book before we get out of here because answering the 50 questions, and I got that book given to me, and it was funny because my favorite thing I saw on that was I pop open a chapter and it says, "Do I really need a $25,000 boat?" And I just started laughing. That book came out 96, if I'm correct.
Gosh, I can't remember.
I think in the back page said 96 or somewhere in that era, and it was, "Do I really need a $25,000 boat?" And I think when we had our Night of Champions dinner for the Gov Cup, I'm like, we should re-edit this and put a 1 in front of that 25,000 now.
Yeah, true.
Could you ever imagine? I mean, really.
I think let's sign the anglers off, let them get back to fishing. We can pop in and wrap this up, so we can just. we can just bring us in and wrap this up. We appreciate all the anglers hopping on, taking their time, and taking some time out of their fishing to let us watch what they're doing out there. We're trying to dabble like the Bassmaster a little bit. We're trying to swing at it. And
thank you.
See
We're
you,
getting thumbs
see you
up
guys.
from our anglers. So it's over.
Yeah, I mean, but back to your story. I mean, you live right here on the river. You've had a restaurant. You've had a successful fishing career. I mean, some can argue one of the best fishing careers. You know, in my mind, being a South Dakota boy, watching you and Bob and even Tony Dean. I mean, watching that era. This is why I do what I do, is because of guys like Mike and that era of people. And I'll be the one to say, you know, one of the true legends, probably one of the legends in the fishing sport tournament industry would be this man right here. So
no doubt.
I mean, I thank you for all you did for me that you didn't even know you did, you know, because, you know,
yeah.
I loved every minute of it.
I bet you did. And thank you for your service.
Yes.
We're, you know, we owe you everything for your service. Thank you very much.
So it's been great having you, Mike.
Actually, that service is what let me become a pro fisherman. I didn't have to have a real job.
Yeah.
Sure. Right. Because you had a little bit of money from the government,
Yeah.
right? You had your, was it a pension then?
Yeah, disability.
Disability pension. So right, with 3 Purple Hearts. I want to say that again because we want people to know you are a decorated warrior, and it's truly a blessing to be able to sit by you and learn about your past, because some of us were just young enough to not really take it all in. So
That ain't you though.
we got a great comment here from Kerry Conald up in Selby. He said, great update and awesome hearing from you, Mike. So
Kerry, thank you. Appreciate it.
we appreciate that. Hey, Mike, thanks for your time today. We really appreciate it. And
My pleasure.
we look forward to seeing you out later on this summer.
All right, my friends, tune in at 3:00. We'll have that live weigh-in, day number 1, 7 pounds, 8 pounds today. We'll see if that's the average.
Now we'll see what happens.
I'm just looking at average. We could have a little bit bigger bag. So please tune in at 3:00 this afternoon. We'll be right back here. Thank you.